Now, listening to all that is our political correspondent, Tom Harwood. And I guess in a way there you begin to see the problem. Everybody wants to do better on social care. We want to pay the people who work in it more too. They can often earn more stacking shelves in the supermarket. But Age UK there puts a price tag of 10 billion a year on it. The Cabinet Office says it could be up to 10 billion to deal with the backlog at the NHS that I was talking to Professor Sikora about. And the chap who resigned recently wanted 14 billion for catch-up in education. I mean, as Ronald Reagan once said, a billion here, a billion there, it soon adds up to real money.
It certainly does, and we're looking at a Conservative Party that ran for election very successfully, promising to not raise VAT or national insurance or income tax. And this is a party that has also just promised to whack up corporation tax, so they can't exactly do that all over again. There are very, very few avenues by which they can find the money to do this very, very expensive reform.
And as a percentage of GDP, taxation is already pretty high. In fact, I think it's at a modern high. So, again, for a Conservative government, it's more difficult. And I think we were talking about this in another show. All the, how could I put it, low-hanging fruit of revenues that could be taken, for example, on pension tax relief and things like that, they all hit the more affluent Tory-type voter.
Absolutely, and yet if you read someone like Dominic Cummings, who's been doing a Q&A on his Substack blog recently, he's been saying that there's so much waste in government. And he's been saying that, for example, the Prime Minister's affinity to these large white elephant projects, HS2 and the like, that over 100 billion have been expected to be spent on. He's saying that these sort of things could be cut to fill gaps like this, but it's unlikely that this Prime Minister is someone who wants to cut any single little bit of spending.
And also HS2 is a capital spend. What we've been talking about is an annual current spending. It's a different kind of thing, and I kind of feel, rightly or wrongly, the HS2 die is cast. I mean, it's not going to be stopped now, even despite the by-election result. As we look at this, though, something's going to give at some stage. I mean, something has to give. Either the Chancellor reluctantly agrees to more spending than he really wants, which will mean more borrowing at a time when interest rates could be starting to rise, or the Prime Minister backs down and says, all right, I know we said it in the manifesto, but we are going to have to raise some taxes.
It's interesting. In the manifesto, the Prime Minister set out that he wanted to reach a cross-party consensus on care. This was the phrase, because we've seen that in 2010, the Labour Party got stung with their death tax. Yes. In 2017, the Conservative Party got stung with the dementia tax.
Disaster for Theresa May.
Absolutely, and he didn't want to see that go all over again. There's been countless reviews, white papers, green papers, all in trying to sort this out, and no one's come to a solution, because ultimately, the one answer that has to be arrived on will hurt somebody. It will sting somebody. You can't generate free money. So the Conservative manifesto in 2019 promised to try and find a cross-party consensus, but we haven't really heard much of a Conservative Party talking to the Labour Party or something, because the Prime Minister then went out to say that he had a plan, he alone. So we're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. What it does seem to be, though, is that the Prime Minister has sort of set himself upon this Dilnot idea of a cap in terms of how much...
This was the Dilnot report.
From 2011, yeah.
And that's fine for part of the problem, and it probably is more helpful to Tory voters as well, who may be the ones that would have to sell their homes. But it's very expensive, and it's by no means, as the lady was saying, it's by no means the whole answer at all.
No, absolutely. In fact, Sir Andrew Dilnot has come out today saying that this is just one strand of at least three different reforms that you need to make, as we were talking about earlier, whether it was increasing the pay of those who work in social care, increasing the conditions, making it better in the round, and that does come to at least 10 billion a year. It's an extraordinary amount of money.
Well, we shall see, Tom. I'm not sure they've followed. There's disagreements, policy disagreement between 10 and 11 Downing Street. I'm not sure they've fallen out yet, personally, but that could be only a matter of time if it carries on like this. Tom, thank you for being with us. Coming up after the break, why has the European Union decided that British TV is a threat to European culture? That's after this.